How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to M.A.D Reactions. I'm back. Hey, how you all doing? You all good? I hope you're having a brilliant weekend. Lovely jubbly, lovely jubbly. My apologies for being a bit vacant. You know, like not being here sort of thing for the last couple of days. But I'm back and I'll be bombarding you with all sorts, alright? So strap yourselves in. So this is Chilling Scares, right? Very, very good channel. Please check them out. Go and subscribe and do the thing. What you got to do, keep your notifications on, because I'll tell you what, hours and hours of fun with Chilling Scares. Seriously, ladies and gentlemen, they're wicked. So this is 6 most disturbing abandoned building encounters. Naughtiness caught on camera, right? Let's see, shall we? Right, let's have some of this, ladies and gentlemen. Right, remember, if you're subscribing, if you haven't subscribed to us, please do so, because it's all free and it helps us massively. And then once you've signed up, you know, you get yourself a membership, buy some gums, look. Cool, isn't it? Well, you can have, get it right, you can have D for me, obviously, Damian, or there's one for Michelle, or there's one for April. Hence the word mad, yeah? Good, isn't it? Right, here we go. Yeah? Ready? Are you ready? Seriously? Then let's begin. Let's begin. Let's crack this straight in. Chilling Scares. Naughtiness happening in an abandoned buildings. Come on. Let's crack on. Let's do this.
Christopher Brian Hill is an urban explorer with a YouTube channel called Urbex Hill. Over the past 10 years, he's been uploading raw footage of his visits to some of the creepiest abandoned buildings in the country, often running into unexpected and sometimes life-threatening situations. Urban explorers like Chris face many dangers, from aggressive stray dogs to hostile squatters to respiratory risks and unsound structures. Venturing into an unfamiliar abandoned building is much more risky than it might sound. It's obviously much safer to explore abandoned buildings in the light of day and with a group of friends, but in most of his videos, Chris explores at night and always alone. In June 2022, he visited the abandoned Westinghouse electric factory located in Cleveland, Ohio. Built more than a century ago, the factory originally consisted of 7 different buildings, but most of them have been demolished by now. Even though the Westinghouse company was established in 1886, it didn't reach Cleveland until 1894. Founded by Thomas Edison, Westinghouse is best known for the notable engineers who worked for the company, including Nikola Tesla and William Stanley. For several decades, the Westinghouse company rivaled General Electric, and it was last used as a lighting equipment production plant before its abandonment in 1979. For the past 4.5 decades, the abandoned factory has been one of the hottest urban exploration locations for curious explorers and YouTubers. In 2012, the factory started receiving even more attention after the Black Widow interrogation scene from the first movie of the Avengers was shot there. 10 years later, Chris made the trip to the abandoned factory and recorded everything he saw. As Chris begins exploring, there doesn't seem to be anyone around, and only the sound of crickets can be heard in the darkness as he walks around the outside of the building. Disturbingly, the sound of gunshots can be heard in the distance less than 5 minutes into the recording. It's worth mentioning that for the past few years, Cleveland has been ranked as one of the top 10 most dangerous cities in the U.S., making this visit to the abandoned factory even more risky.
Yeah, somebody shooting.
You know what I mean? Christ, man.
That's Cleveland.
Wow, wow. Like cowboy territory. Yeehaw! Come on! Bloody hell.
It's not even that far away from here. Oh, that sounds like a shootout.
Oh, yeah.
Chris has experience exploring everything from abandoned mental hospitals and sanatoriums to vacant occult temples, and he shrugs off the fear as he enters the creepy building.
I've seen this guy before on one of my videos. He's, yeah, very good, man. Very good. Check him out. Very good.
Just like in many abandoned buildings, Chris finds a mattress on the floor, meaning at least one person has been sleeping there recently. As he captures footage of the first floor and walks up the stairs to the second floor, all that can be heard in the eerie darkness is the sound of his footsteps. A few minutes later, Chris goes down to the basement, and the footage becomes increasingly creepier as Chris runs into a series of dead ends under the leaky, moldy ceiling.
Okay, I'm hearing something. Maybe it's it's an animal.
Well, I hope it is, mate.
There's animals down here.
At several points during his exploration of the basement, he can be heard making comments about a strange noise coming from somewhere on that floor, and at first he seems to think it's an animal. Alarmingly, he finds a few shell casings on the ground from what was probably a 9mm handgun. Although it would be pretty unsettling to
Taking target practice. Do you know what I mean? Going into the old abandoned places and shit. Fucking hell, mate. Come
find something
on.
like this lying on the ground in an abandoned factory basement, it's worth mentioning that police departments often use abandoned buildings and complexes for training exercises. However, in this case, it's impossible to know if that's really what happened. Shortly after, he comes across a series of disturbing messages on the walls. He continues recording as he walks down narrow corridors, and this is where things get a lot more disturbing.
To apologize.
This place is so wet.
Oh, wow. Shit, wow. I just fucking saw him. Wow. Bloody hell, mate. Hang on. Right. Now, there's me just looking around, and then it made me jump, you git! Alright, you alright? Sure? Come on, I'm with you.
Yo,
Look at him, look.
you need some help, bro?
Yeah, I'd say so, mate. Careful, mate, seriously, careful.
Yo.
Oi! Don't walk away. Don't just walk away, mate. Please don't walk away. Don't walk away, because you'll go back and they'll be gone.
Bro, that's crazy.
After about 20 minutes of exploring, the visit takes a very dark turn as Chris runs into a hunched-over man without a light at the far end of the room. He calls out to him and asks if he needs any help, but the man doesn't move or respond, and Chris decides to leave him alone. Understandably, Chris's breathing can be heard getting louder and heavier after the extremely unsettling encounter, but things were only about to get more disturbing for him.
You know what? I'm gonna help that dude out.
I would, yeah. Good idea.
Give him a $20 bill. Yo. Hey, I got some money for you. He's not there.
Yeah, I told you, mate. I'm saying you got money for him. Nah, you think you
About
got
4
cash?
minutes later, Chris decides to go back to help the man out by giving him a $20 bill. But alarmingly, when he goes back to the room, the man is no longer there. This could be incredibly dangerous, as squatters are known to behave aggressively toward unwanted visitors.
He'll come up behind you, cost you over the head, and take your money, your camera, and everything else now. You should have just dealt with him when you were there. Because it's freaky.
And because they know the place better than anyone else, they can easily hide in the shadows and attack or scare visitors when they least expect it. One theory that many viewers seem to favor was that maybe the man was not a homeless person at all, but a gang member who was hiding from the shootout that could be heard at the beginning of the video.
Yeah.
However, it's impossible to confirm if this was actually the case, and it seems pretty unlikely given his strange behavior. As he continues searching for the man, Chris notices bats flying around the basement, and things get even more eerie at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially if all them bats sort of like morph into one big figure, I'd fucking do one out the door and I'd be gone. Pew! See ya.
It's down here too.
Bye.
Right when he walks into one of the rooms, if you look closely at the far left of the screen, you can actually see the man from earlier standing in what used to be a door frame, staring at Chris in the
wow,
darkness.
there, look, he's there,
Alarmingly,
he's there.
Chris
Look,
doesn't know
look,
again
watch,
what used to be a door-
look, there he is. Can you see him? Look, there he is. Right in that doorway, see? Yeah, he's looking as well. Is he looking or has he got his back to us?
Door frame staring at
No,
Chris
he's
in the
staring,
darkness.
he's staring,
Alarmingly, Chris
mate.
doesn't notice. and
Oh
continues
no,
walking.
Chris, you gotta look,
It's
mate.
impossible to know how long the man had been following him, and in these kind of situations, it can be hard to gauge.
He's
the
got something in his hand as well. He's got
A
something
few
in his
minutes later, the
hand.
squatter
He has something in
situation-
his hand. Look, he's got something in his hand. Look, can you see it down the side of his leg? See it? like shiny. He's got even. That's not his watch. I mean, if that was his watch, he'd have a long arm, wouldn't he? I think that's something in his hand.
It can be hard to gauge the squatter's intentions.
Yeah, look, he's got a gun,
A few
man.
minutes later, the squatter can be seen walking outside as cars pass by the side
Oh,
of the building.
no.
At one point, Chris mentions he thinks the guy said hello, but it can't be heard clearly through the camera audio. Just when he decides to head out, he hears a cell phone vibrate, indicating that there are more people down there with him hiding.
Get
in the
out of there,
darkness.
man.
Having had enough disturbing encounters for the night, he decides to play it safe, and fortunately, he was able to leave the building unharmed. He never found out who that man was, and since then, he hasn't uploaded another video of the Westinghouse factory.
Okay, but who cares? Who cares? Apart from his mum and dad and his family, who cares? Let's just go. Get out of there, mate. You don't know him. Don't owe him anything. Go. Especially, I'm just thinking about all them gunshots in the background. You know, who else is going to be? Oh, there's loads of gunshots going off, and then suddenly there's a man hiding. Well, it doesn't take a bloody genius, does it? You know what I mean? I'll be gone, mate. You don't know what he's done. That for a process.
This video was recorded in Tartu, Estonia, and uploaded to YouTube in August of 2016. In it, a group of 4 teenagers visit an abandoned sauna that was built more than a century ago in 1915, back when Estonia was still part of the Russian Empire. After fulfilling its purpose for 80 years, the sauna was decommissioned in 1995. The building remained abandoned for 23 years until in 2018 it was fully renovated and turned into a beauty salon, which is still operating as of this video's upload in 2023. In August of 2016, the uploader visited the abandoned location with 3 friends. Upon entering the building, you can see that it looks exactly what you would expect a building that's been abandoned for 21 years to look like. There's an insane amount of mold growing freely on the walls, the heaters are covered in a thick layer of rust, the floor is full of holes, and the entire structure looks like it could collapse at any second.
It's definitely
Throughout the
rocky
video,
Mars
the
time.
teenage explorers also run into some disturbing messages on the walls. An especially eerie one reads, "You can't hide," and there are also several creepy drawings of stick figures graffitied on the walls in some of the other rooms. For the first few minutes of the visit, other than the disturbing messages and some loose shoes and other personal belongings, there doesn't seem to be any indication that somebody could be living there or had even visited the location recently. However, about 20 minutes into the visit, one of the teenagers finds a door frame covered by a curtain, and they decide to explore the room.
Come on in. Come on. Whoa, 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 come on. What happened?
As one of the explorers shines a flashlight into the room, a gut-wrenching scream can be heard coming from the shadows. Immediately, the 4 teenagers run out of the building in a panic. When they finally step outside, the sun is already set, and the boys get into the car to flee from the location. Although the explorer was too busy running to show footage of the screaming man, it's more than likely that it was a homeless resident of the abandoned building who wasn't expecting visitors. Still, it must have been extremely disturbing to experience something like that, even if they went together as a group. After that day in 2016, the boys never went back to the abandoned sauna again.
I don't blame you. Roar! You
In
fucking
March of 20
shit, you silly. Imagine that. You're about sneaking. Roar! No thanks, mate. Put me off me bloody Walker's crisp.
22, YouTubers M.A.D and Chris uploaded a new video to their channel, Back in Time MC, in which they showed footage of their visit to a rundown old farmhouse somewhere in the UK. In the caption, they mentioned that they found an entry point through an open window around the side of the house. Based on the state of disarray the farmhouse is in, it's clear that nobody has been maintaining it for quite some time. The floor is covered in leaves and cobwebs, the shoes look dusty and unused, and there are even a couple of dead animals lying on the floor, along with some shotgun shells lying on top of a bedside table.
Christ.
The only clues that indicate somebody could have been at the location relatively recently, The only
They weren't shells, that was... Still got the ends on it, they?
clues that indicate somebody could have been at the location relatively recently are that one of the light bulbs in one of the bedrooms looks relatively new, and some of the clothes in the closet look only gently used. Based on the pictures that Chris finds on
What did he say? Hang on.
The clothes in the closet look only gently used.
Right. The clothes in the closet only look gently used. Okay. How do you use clothes gently? I don't get that one. I don't get that. I don't wanna ruffle its feathers. What?
Based on the pictures that Chris finds on different shelves and hung up on the walls, it appears as if a family of at least 4 children used to live in the farmhouse. As the couple continues with the exploration, they walk into one of the upstairs bedrooms, where they find something very unexpected.
Thin, narrow piece of carpet that comes all the way across. Absolutely nuts. Yeah, she'll come into this bedroom here.
Betty Bob, we've only got a bit of carpet left. Just stick it through the middle of the floor. We'll paint the sides so you won't notice it.
Oh, wow. Oh my God. Yeah. You're alive.
What?
You know, Mummy.
You can't live in here. Yeah?
What did he just...
You know, Mummy.
You can't live in here. Yeah?
No.
We really can't.
We thought it was abandoned.
Bloody
abandoned.
way.
You can't live in here.
No way. No way. They paid that lady to get in that bed, man. There's no fucking way. There's no... I'm not having it. I don't care. I'm not having it. I don't care. I don't care. Even... Shit. There's no fucking way anyone is living in that house. I mean... Wow. You couldn't live in that house. No. It's... Alright, I know. Alright, sorry.
When he first walked into the...
Alright, here we go.
You can't live in here.
When he first walked into the room, Chris didn't notice that there was someone asleep in the bed. It wasn't until Meg walked in and made a noise that the woman sleeping in the bed woke up and gave them the scare of their life. Although the uploaders blurred the woman's face out of respect for her privacy, it's clear that she's pretty old. During the conversation, she tells the couple that she doesn't have any family that can take her to live somewhere else
Are
less
you
depressing.
kidding me?
Out of sheer kindness, Chris and Meg keep the lady company and try their best to understand her situation. She introduces herself as Jane, and over the next 10 minutes they ask her questions about how she ended up living all alone in an abandoned farmhouse.
Wow.
Thanks to the couple's empathy, the initial shock of being startled by the sleeping old lady and seeing her living in such terrible conditions quickly turns into a heartwarming moment in which the three of them talk about each other's lives.
What happened was I came there to help somebody,
Okay.
and this is only for a week I'm coming.
Yeah.
And that
That was in 1944.
was 1990.
Oh, they are not far away.
Been there nearly 30 years.
Bloody hell.
Disturbingly, Jane mentioned she's been living in the abandoned farmhouse for 30 years.
Wow,
Even though Chris
wow.
and Meg offer to help her,
You
bring her
can't
food,
live
and
there
buy her
like
clean
that.
clothes and sheets, she
God
seems
damn
hesitant
it.
to accept anything from them.
Sorry, but there's not nothing that anything or anyone or anyone anywhere could do to stop me. That lady there, I would not leave that lady there on her own. I'm telling you now. Don't give a shit if I had to stay there with her. She would not be there on her own. There's not a chance on earth I'd leave that lady in them conditions, man. Not
Maybe
a
that she's
chance,
fine
mate.
living the way she does.
Even if I had
She
to stay
mentions
there, clean the place up and paint the gaff, I ain't having it.
And even though it's not her house, the
Not a
men who work at
chance.
the farmhouse know she's there, and they bring her food
way.
and water every day. In a touching moment at the end, the couple agrees with Jane to visit her again soon.
No way.
This would have been a happy ending to the story, but Chris and Meg included a caption at the end of the video that casts the situation in a more disturbing light. The caption reads, "I did a lot of research to try and find the name of the farm and whom it was owned by. Luckily, I got the information needed, and I even got a message from someone who knew the farmer who farms there." Chris goes on to explain that the man who reached out to him also knew that Jane was living there, and that the farmer also lives in the farmhouse with her. According to the man, Jane is very well cared for, and that the farmer also lives in the farmhouse with her.
I was told that the farm was lived in by the man and I was told that she is scared for whoever she chooses to live like that. I was told that she is cared for. However, she chooses to live like that. He explained that her husband is up there. Any help and easy despite everyone's efforts. She used to live like that. I was told that she also has a brother.
According to the man, Jane is very well cared for, but she chooses to live in those terrible conditions anyway.
Well, but at the end of the day, you've never heard of mental health, mate. You know what I mean? That, sorry, is not safe. It's not. It's just not gonna happen. Okay, now I'm going on and on. Sorry, mate. I
Jane's
just
husband is up there constantly to make sure she's okay. But
really gets my goat up when elderly people are just forgotten about. And really, sorry. I'll just crack on and let you go.
she doesn't accept his help very easily, or anyone's help for that matter. It's worth mentioning that Jane might not have been completely truthful about her situation to Chris and Meg. During their conversation, she mentioned that she didn't have anyone to care for her except for the farmer, but the man who knew the farmer told Chris that she also has a brother who tries to take care of her. Not entirely convinced by what the man told him, Chris continued digging for information and found that the farm was not on any land registry records, but there was another property to Jane's name that she owned between 1986 and 2015. After visiting the other property, Chris mentioned that it was as unkempt and beat up as the farmhouse itself. Having heard two different versions of the story from the man who contacted him and from Jane herself, he decided to contact Adult Social Services.
Yeah! Thanks. What are you for, man?
Good morning. Thank you for your email. I can confirm that Adult Social Care are aware of this lady. However, I'm not able to provide you with any further details. We appreciate your input and the information you have provided, and thank you for raising your concerns with us. Chris then told the man who contacted him to tell Jane that he and Meg would be happy to go back and visit her if she wanted them to. After this, there were no further updates on the old would be happy to go back and visit her if she wanted them to. After this, there were no further updates on the old woman, and we'll likely never know what became of her. The only thing we know for sure is that if someone else decides to explore the abandoned farmhouse in the future, they'll likely run into the same situation as Chris and Meg. Sadly, this type of situation is much more common than many people realize. With rising prices and the overall state of the global economy, a large part of the elderly population is being forgotten.
Wow.
Hopefully Jane can accept some help from her family members and live out the rest of her days in much better and healthier conditions than the one she was in when the video was uploaded.
Sorry, people. Sorry. Seriously, sorry. I apologise, mate. But that was a bit rough, you know. That was a bit rough. Obviously, you know, you're getting it fresh like I do, mate. So, you know, this is my first seeing it, you know. So, that's just fucking wrong. That is wrong. So wrong. When you agree, yeah, let me know. I'm sure you bloody agree with me. I can hear you already, and I haven't even put the bloody video out yet. Let's just crack on, yeah.
Robert Fulton Elementary is an abandoned school in a pretty rough neighborhood of Cleveland, Ohio. The building is 92 years old and has been abandoned for over 13 years. After several complaints from nearby residents who mentioned that the abandoned building was an eyesore, a potential crime hotspot, and that it was lowering the value of their properties, the mayor of Cleveland announced plans to turn the rundown old building into a high-quality, mixed-income housing unit for the community. Although the idea is still in the planning stages and the city needs more funding to complete the project, the plan is for the renovations to begin by the end of 2024. For now, Robert Fulton Elementary remains one of the creepiest abandoned schools in the country. In May of 2023, Chris Hill, again from the YouTube channel Urbex Hill, uploaded a video in which he made a second visit to the boarded-up, abandoned elementary school. The first video he made of the school was back in 2022. During his first visit, he heard strange humming, chanting, creaking, and banging noises coming from different rooms. This was part of the description in the first video. Most sections of the building are falling apart, and the water and elements have done irreversible damage to the structure. I would not recommend anyone explore this school. You risk getting robbed or worse.
Bloody hell.
With that being said, I heard weird noises and other various things during my exploration. After these incidents, the vast majority of people would have been too terrified to even think of going back. But 2 years later, Chris decided to make a second visit to the school, alone at 1 a.m.
Oh, nutter. See what I mean? He's bonkers, man. Wow. He's bonkers.
The decay is crazy in here.
Yeah, man. You can see why they want to tear it down, isn't it?
From the very beginning of the footage, it's clear that Robert Fulton Elementary belongs in a different category of abandoned buildings than most others.
Totally.
What stands out the most about the building is the fact that just over a decade ago, children were learning in those classrooms, running...
Just over 10 years ago. I mean, you wouldn't believe it, would you? You just wouldn't. You'd think, no, that's been empty like that for a good 60, 70 years and 80 years. 100 years. 100 years. But, you know, just goes to show, you know. I think of the lead poisoning, all this paint hanging off the walls, just because it's got all the lead in it, you know, it's all the old paint in it. Bloody hell.
and playing in the halls, and now it looks more like something out of a horror movie than a school. The eeriness of the location, the pitch darkness, and the extreme state of decay of the building all contribute to the school's incredibly creepy atmosphere, and not a lot of people would dare go in there at night, much less alone. For a building that has only been abandoned for 13 years, Robert Fulton Elementary is in a much worse...
13 years! 13 years! I mean, bloody hell. Look at the state of it.
state than other buildings that have been vacant for much longer.
But
Chris doesn't seem to mind as he
vacant
captures
for
footage of the
a
dark
long
corridors
time.
with peeling walls and random debris lying all over the floor. As he ventures deeper into the school, Chris starts hearing strange noises, but nobody seems to be around.
R.I.P. Ron.
He continues his exploration in the chilling silence. The underlying structure in some of the rooms on the upper floors seems extremely unstable, but Chris shows his expertise in urban exploration by avoiding the surfaces that crack under his feet. After about 15 minutes of exploring the top floors, Chris goes down into the basement, which is arguably the most deteriorated part of the school. As he explores the dark rooms, he finds some indications that other people could be living there. Interestingly, he also finds what appears to be a boiler room that's been flooded with water.
Wow. Wow. Oh. Who the fucking hell's that? Oh, my language.
At around the 30-minute mark, a loud banging noise can be heard coming from one of the rooms, and it becomes very clear that Chris is not alone. As he steps into one of the classrooms, he finds a very eerie message written on the chalkboard, which reads, "Don't explore alone," as well as a paper sign on the door that reads, "Keep out." Despite the clear warnings, he goes inside, only to find more signs that somebody's living there.
No.
This is where Chris's visit to Robert Fulton Elementary takes a very chilling turn.
Mate, careful, bruv. Careful, 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 careful. Come on, be careful. But that's been blocked off for a reason, mate. There's someone down there, John. No, no. Run, bruv!
Fearing for his life after hearing the blood-curdling scream, he sprints out of the building to safety, hoping that the man wasn't following him. If you look closely at the footage, you can see the outline of the screaming man when Chris peels back the curtain to his room. Upon reviewing the footage later that night, he found something else even more unsettling.
I tell ya.
When he first walked into the building, his camera caught something that he didn't notice at the time. In the distance, a man's shadow can be seen walking into one of the rooms. It's not clear where the man went after that, but based on the strange noises Chris heard throughout his visit, it's very likely that the man was watching him all along. Although the scream was terrifying to hear, and we can only imagine what Chris must have felt at that moment, it's worth mentioning that the room he entered was probably the man's home, and from the squatter's perspective, it was probably just as terrifying to see a random man pull back the curtain to his room.
Yeah, totally.
These kinds of encounters can often get violent very quickly, but thankfully Chris once again made it out safely. He hasn't uploaded new footage of the location since then.
Bloody hell, mate. Woo!
This footage was uploaded in October 2019 by YouTuber Baker X Derek, a tour guide from San Bernardino, California.
How you all doing? You still with me? Yeah?
One day, as he was riding his motorcycle on the highway in California, he noticed an abandoned house sitting on top of a hill and decided to take a look inside. From the very beginning of the footage, it becomes clear that somebody has already been there, and that it probably wasn't the original owners of the house. Unlike many abandoned buildings, you can tell this house used to be beautiful before it was vacated, but that doesn't make it any less creepy to visit, even in the middle of the day.
Oh, heebie-jeebies, dude. Dude, that dark room. I kept feeling something was gonna jump out at me. What's down here?
Careful, bro. No point risking
I think I hear somebody.
No, what are you doing down
I hear
there?
something.
Ring, 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 ring. Come on, jump on your little hairdryer.
Derek goes down to explore one of the rooms on the bottom floor, and this is where he hears a disturbing thud. Terrified, he makes a run for it, and even trips and falls on his way out. But eventually, he gets back on his motorcycle and flees the location. As per one of the most popular theories proposed by viewers, the noise was probably made by a homeless person who was trying to warn Derek to get out of his home. Although squatters don't spend all their time lurking in the shadows, it's common for them to use the darkness as a tool when someone comes into the building unannounced.
I'll have a look. When we've finished, I'll have a look. But when he was running down the stairs, it looked like someone was down there with
It's a basic rule of urban exploration that if you hear a loud noise upon entering a room, you should probably leave. Sometimes squatters make a noise as a first and final warning to drive visitors away respectfully. If Derek had pushed forward, he may have been attacked by whoever was hiding in the darkness.
No, it wasn't.
It's a natural impulse to call out and announce your presence in these kinds of situations, but squatters will very rarely answer these calls in a normal way. Nobody likes to be seen living in those conditions, and more often than not, the response will be rather aggressive and sometimes even violent.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You're gonna search up an abandoned place, right? You're searching an abandoned place. Hello, is anyone there? Hello? Oh, hello? How are you? It's not gonna happen, is it? What are you doing in my fucking house? Get out. I'll give you fucking both barrels.
Fortunately, in this case, Derek was able to get away from the potentially dangerous situation. In central Ontario, Canada, there's a small community south of Port Elgin known as North Bruce. To the locals, however, it's known as the Devil's Elbow. According to John, the urban explorer who uploaded this video, the reason for the name was that there was once an occult high priest who lived in the mansion at a cul-de-sac, in which the townspeople used to think there was paranormal activity due to the occult rituals the priest used to perform in his home.
Oh, lovely.
The mansion has since been abandoned, and as of today, nobody wants to buy it or live in it due to its chilling atmosphere and sketchy past. According to John, some renovations have been made sporadically since the house was vacated, but as of the video's upload, the house was still abandoned. In 2019, John set out to explore the occult mansion alone at night.
I'll tell you what, there is going to be some right naughty ass energy stuff going on in that gaff, especially if he was doing culty malarkey, you know? I mean, each to their own and all that, but doing all that culty business and that, you're just conjuring up stupid shit, you know? Seriously, you're bringing more darkness into the world, and we don't need none of that, mate. We don't need no more darkness, do we? No, we don't.
But things didn't go exactly as he planned. In comparison to other abandoned buildings, the mansion seems to be in relatively good shape, except for the garage, which has clearly seen better days.
That's at a fire.
About 5 minutes into the exploration, John starts to hear strange noises upstairs, but they seem to quiet down as soon as he climbs the set of stairs.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, guys, I think...
Open the door so at least you can leg it and open and don't have to jump out of a window.
And I mean this, I really hope
But there's no one there.
that it's paranormal.
Oh, well, you want to open it,
And not
mate?
someone freaking in here.
That's a nice stairwell, isn't it? Staircase. Careful, mate. Careful.
Freaking sleep, you know, dude. Come on, quit messing with me. I'm just trying to freaking... I'll leave. Now that I've got myself in a bad situation. Oh, jeez.
Yo!
Disturbingly, as he walks around upstairs, the noises can be heard again, even...
I thought I was there then. Yo! I really thought...
This time, he John to think that perhaps someone else is in there messing with him. Although he mentions loudly to whoever is in there with him that his only intention is to explore and that he doesn't want to bother anyone, whoever was making the noise doesn't respond and continues hiding. The noises stop for a couple minutes, but then something terrifying happens.
Oh my God, hello? Is there somebody here? I'm not here to bother or rob anything. I was just here exploring. I thought it was a
I'm gonna kill you! See? No escape route, see?
Disturbingly, a man's voice can be heard screaming, "I'm gonna kill you," and before catching a glimpse of who it is, John runs out of the mansion immediately and doesn't look back until he's a safe distance away from the building.
I'm like, come on then! Come on! Come on then! What are you gonna do? Kung fu ya! As I'm running down the street. What are you gonna do? Come in.
It's unknown who was in the house or how long they had been watching him, or even if they had bad intentions or were just messing with him. According to several viewers, it's very unlikely that the other person in the house was another explorer. In the urban exploration community, people usually help each other out, and there's a sort of code that every explorer sticks to in order to help keep creepy locations as safe to visit as possible.
Yeah, no comment.
If the other person in the house was another explorer, making noises in an abandoned house and screaming, "I'm going to kill you," would obviously be very out of the ordinary. That leaves the question of who could have screamed at John. It's more than likely that it was just a homeless person who didn't want any visitors, but because John ran out before he could see anyone, this much will probably remain unknown forever.
That's cool, wasn't it? See, that's Chilling Scares, ladies and gentlemen. Check them out. Seriously, brilliant, brilliant channel. Go, subscribe, do the thing if you haven't already to, for Chilling, because they're great. They've got loads of stuff. As I say, loads and loads. They've got contents of everything, Just have a look. Check them out. You'll like them, right? In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to us already, please do so, because as I said earlier, it's all free and it helps us massively, yeah? Lovely jubbly. Right then, my ladies and gentlemen. Lovely jubbly. I'll catch you around on the next one, yeah? You take care, alright? Look after each other. Look after yourselves. Alright, remember I love you, alright? God bless everybody. Thank you, yeah? Peace.